It's Monday morning in Boston, and Susan David steps into her Harvard office, ready to meet a patient wrestling with a fierce inner critic. She listens carefully as the patient's voice, relentless and harsh, declares, "I'm a failure." Now, here's the twist: that voice isn't a truth, it's a story. What if the battle isn't with your emotions, but with how you engage them? This question cracks wide open the door to emotional agility. We all get hit with emotional storms, anxiety, shame, frustration. But how you label these feelings can either trap or free you. At Harvard, Susan meets Lisa, a woman breaking down over feeling a failure after a job setback. Instead of pushing the feeling away, Susan invites Lisa to say what's behind it. Is it disappointment, fear, exhaustion? Naming these emotions with precision softens their power, transforming a crushing verdict into a manageable story. Think of your emotions like weather, sometimes sunny, sometimes stormy. You don't fight the rain, you recognize it's just weather, not a permanent state. This mental weather report creates space, so you're not tossed around by the storm but can decide whether to seek shelter or dance in the rain. When you give your feelings clear names, they lose their mysterious hold. Suddenly, "I'm anxious" shifts to "I'm noticing anxiety about this deadline." This tiny shift is the hinge that flips from being controlled by emotions to directing them, opening the door for fresh choices and actions. Here's a secret: emotionally agile people don't suppress tough feelings, they step outside of them. This shift changes everything. In one story, Susan guides distracted kids in a Boston classroom through a mindfulness exercise. Instead of fighting their frustration or restlessness, they simply observe it, like watching clouds drift by. This simple step back transformed chaos into calm attention, proving that awareness can untangle emotional knots. Picture this: you hold a red-hot coal, clenched tight. The pain is real, but the real damage isn't the coal, it's your grip. Psychologically, your emotions are the coal. Clinging, resisting, or fending them off only deepens the burn. Letting go of that grip, stepping out of the emotion, halves the pain instantly. Once you step outside your feelings, you don't get swept away anymore. Instead, you gain choice. You see your values forward, maybe kindness, growth, or courage, and start acting from those, not from reactive emotion. This unhooking rewires your brain from autopilot to intentional living. Emotional agility isn't just surviving feelings, it's about creating a life worth having. Values aren't vague ideals, they're your compass. Susan worked with Mark, a high-powered CEO who hid his stress behind a mask of perfection. Through emotional agility, Mark faced his fear of appearing weak and chose vulnerability instead. Speaking honestly at his board meeting wasn't just brave, it rebuilt trust and opened new doors for innovation. Imagine your values as a GPS system in a chaotic city. Without it, every turn is guesswork and dead end. But with your values set as coordinates, honesty, creativity, connection, they steer you past diversions and distractions, guiding each choice, big or small. When your habits match your true values, you become remarkably resilient, like a tree bending but not breaking in a storm. Facing setbacks or stress doesn't derail you, it simply calls your values louder, encouraging thoughtful, bold moves rather than reactive flailing. Remember Lisa in that Harvard office whose story of failure felt like a sentence. Now imagine her naming each feeling, stepping out of her grip and acting from what truly mattered to her. That's emotional agility, seeing your feelings clearly, not as chains but as signals. Try this today: pause when you're upset, name your exact emotion, and ask yourself, what does this feeling want me to value or do? It'll surprise you how fast that changes everything. Subscribe for more book summaries like this one.